Hey guys, good afternoon. It's Sunday afternoon on the 9th of September, and the truth of the matter is I haven't gotten very far from today. I earlier, a few hours ago, did a live stream from this very spot I'm sitting in, and there's some reasons for that. Church just ended behind me, and I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm emotional by nature, although I've been pretty good about not being so emotional online recently, but pretty emotional right now. In fact, shed some tears here recently. Don't know what to say. I do know what to say, but why does it seem so dark? There we go. Get some light on my big, ugly, pumpkin-sized head. Don't hate me. I know everyone says, "Oh, don't say that about yourself." I'm just kidding. Anyway, I just attended church here at Trinity Baptist Church in Bristow, Oklahoma. There were a few things that were eye-opening to me. So, first of all, I know this now. I know that Trinity, Bristow, Oklahoma, and this particular church in Bristow, Oklahoma, is where I was meant to be at this very moment, on this very day. I don't know how that works. I mean, I do know how that works now. Just messages were hit and people I met, and anyway, I'm sorry guys, I'm a little bit trying to get my arms around some things. So anyway, a few things I thought were pretty cool. Journey friend and dear friend of mine, Glenn, had arranged for me to have a hotel in Oklahoma City on Wednesday. Let me tell you about the day before I talk about church and what happened here on Wednesday. And knowing that's the case, and knowing I've kind of hinted at my vision of the journey changing a little bit, I need to get some provisions sent from home. So it was really cool. First I reached out to the hotel to see, hey, is it okay if they send me some things there? And not only was the answer yes, absolutely, but what was so interesting was the young lady who answered at the front desk. So many times I've talked to people on the course of a job during this journey, whether it be talking about my cable bill. I talked about Dollar Shave Club before I left earlier. Gary had set me up to speak to a Walmart to talk to their employees, and I talked to hotels, I've talked to business folks, and every time it seems to come back to, that doesn't seem to be bad. People are busy. They're busy in their everyday life, and especially in their work life, and certainly have very little time, for me to, or even to engage me. Now servers and waiters and waitresses tend to be a little bit different, but it was so nice because this young lady actually asked me about my journey and what I was doing, and gave me just 30 seconds to speak to her without feeling like she had to rush off the phone and get to the next customer. And I shared with her my website, and she said she'd take a look at it. But again, I talked about indifference. It was just her showing that slightest bit of interest, slightest bit of interest that made my morning. And it had me thinking about a conversation I just had. Was it in Sapulpa? No, it wasn't. It was with a journey friend, Mike Lilly, who put me up for the night in Miami, Oklahoma. And Mike has a background where he's helping some troubled folks through his own ministry, and he's working off some of his own experience. But he had sent me a text, urging me to keep going and doing what I'm doing and spreading the message of pointing the thumb. But it was something he said in that message. He was dealing with a troubled young man, and it wasn't anything about money or about possession. It was about the reason this young man kind of turned his life around. Look, what he told him was because somebody cared. Somebody took a few minutes, a few moments, a few hours in their life to care for him when he had felt like nobody cared for him before. And that seems to be this journey as I'm going through. What's up, buddy? The pastor's son just run by. And I've seen that time, and really when you break it down, I'm seeing my eyes open to things I never saw before. This young lady at a hotel in Oklahoma City that's never met me showed enough interest to just simply ask and show me she cared. And she doesn't know what that did for me. For the next 20 minutes I was floating on air. And I see that time and again. I met a young lady back in Catoosa, Oklahoma, that shared how she got wrapped up in drugs at the age of 29, and she had by all intents and purposes, she had a pretty good life from the outside. But I think the bottom line in talking to her was that whether it was reality or not, her reality was that nobody cared. Her reality is that nobody cared about her. And I'm getting a kick right now. I'm watching. I wish I could get it on video. Let's see if he does it. I'll share that story with you later. That was very cool what just happened. Ingenuity. Anyway, but caring is such an easy thing to do in the smallest of ways, and how it uplifts you is amazing. And that's one of the reasons why, whether it was reality or not, her reality was that she just wanted to be cared. She wanted to know someone cared about her, and she didn't feel that way. And again, I'm not pointing blame anywhere and saying she wasn't. I'm saying that was her perception. So caring comes in so many little ways. And so then after that, I call my neighbor and dear friend Pat, who's basically the person that sends out my t-shirts for me. And I said, hey, Jamie might be coming by. She has a couple of things for me. She wants to send this kind of package out to me out in Oklahoma City. And then Pat shared a story with me, which I thought was great. Now, Pat, I don't know her age, but I think she's got to be close to upper 60s, maybe even 70. I think she did tell me she was 70. But the York Fair back home is going on, and I guess Alice Cooper, you wouldn't expect to see a 70-year-old Alice Cooper's concert. Maybe you would, because he's not young himself. Anyway, I guess she was there, and she told me she got in a conversation with the drummer, and she happened to be wearing, the shirt, the Journey shirt that I wear, which she bought a couple of to support me. And she shared this the story with the Alice Cooper drummer. So she's like, Jim, I don't know where it's going to go, but I told them if they're driving on the highway in their tour bus and see you out there, they better offer you a ride or reach out to you. So she just made me smile, and I appreciate people spreading the word that way, and so forth. And then I come here to church today, and I'm in Trinity Baptist Church in Bristow, Oklahoma. And a few things to take from it. First of all, I walked in, and like I said, I met Ben, the first person I met, and he's from York, Pennsylvania. Lived there for 13 years, so we were able to talk about that. Who knew? But then, before the sermon starts, I guess I don't want to be... if you're a fan of either American Idol or America's Got Talent, it's funny. Sometimes people come on stage, and you don't... by appearances, you don't have... or you do have an expectation of what you're going to hear, and then you hear them, and it totally, blows you away. Well, first of all, the pastor had heard of what I was doing and asked me to come talk to the congregation, just kind of share my message with them, and that was very nice that I had that opportunity, because it was a packed house. There had to be 150 people in there that I was able to kind of share, the message, point and the thumb. But as I've come to find in church of the current day, from what I was raised and grew up in, there's a lot of community singing and music, and so it's funny. The pastor's not a tall gentleman, but he started to preach, and then he started to sing, and while his voice is just an ordinary voice of speaking, when he sang, I felt like I had one of those American Idol moments when this beautiful voice just came out of this man, and it just I was taken aback by it. But then, as we kept going, his sermon, one of the things I discovered today, here's something about me. When you read, there's the verbal part of it, being able to know the language and know the words, and then there's what they call the comprehension. And I've always struggled with comprehension. This is not to put myself down, so if anybody wants to come, Jim, don't put yourself down. This is a fact. I struggle with the verbal comprehension. If you give me a book of 10 pages, by the second page I will have lost any ability to comprehend it. If you show me something, I'm pretty good at retaining, and I will learn. And so my point, one of the things I can readily admit, is I've never, ever come close to reading the Bible, or many other books for that matter, because books usually have more than 10 pages, and again, my ability to comprehend is very short-lived, and I don't know where that disconnect is in my mind and my brain. It's just how I'm wired. And I'm only recently getting back into church in the last several months, as I've found this journey taking over me. Prior to that, my knowledge of church and religion was my first 12 years of life being brought up as I was brought up. But my understanding of church was about somebody kind of preaching at you and speaking to you and things like that. What I realized through my journey, and it was encapsulated today, was that one of the things that's really cool about church for me is that, you know, if the way I'd say it is this: if I sat down right now with somebody that didn't understand the game of football, and I gave them the rule book and said, here's the rule book, you know, what would they comprehend? But yet I could talk to them intelligently about the game of football, and they would retain so much more. In essence, I would just be breaking down the technical into layman's terms and helping that way. Well, that's what church has become here, and I've seen it all along the way. But the pastors are taking this Bible, which for me is wordy and something I can't comprehend, and breaking it down for me and translating it into a common language that I can understand, and it's been phenomenal. And then today's lesson, so mark the day and time down, September 9th, whatever time it is. I am going to, for the first time, I'm not going to say I'm going to quote my first scripture, because I can't quote it because I don't know it that well. But I want to talk about a scripture for the first time in my life by name, and it was Philippians 4:11, and it was one of the passages that the pastor was talking about. But it was, in essence, it was, I have learned to be content in whatever circumstances. And it was pretty amazing because, first of all, it was learned. Basically, the message I took from it, and this is some of the pastor's words as well, but my own interpretation. You know, we have a society that has been built on finding happiness. Everything is about finding happiness. We accumulate things. We seek it in others. We seek others to be a partner in our life to make us happy. We seek it in whatever it might be, in alcohol and food and affection and love, whatever. We seek happiness. And basically the way I would paraphrase it is that happiness isn't a destination. Happiness is a result. I spent a good many years knowing somebody in my life that I used to say all the time, if you could just find peace, you'd be happy. So many people are always out trying to, in my opinion, find happiness, and they're never going to be happy in that regard. And that was kind of the message I got today. So Philippians 4:11 said something along the lines of, I have learned to be content in whatever circumstances. And that's part of it too. That's what this journey has kind of taught me as well, is that you know what, I've always been a guy that's been through a lot, like I said, and I've always been pretty happy. And it was when I lost that ability to be content that my daughter called me out and sent me on my journey here. So today struck me a lot that way. You know, pretty amazing. So anyway, I feel at home here. Ben came up to me and said they have a shelter over here that they would let someone stay in. And I think that I'm not going to go to Stroud today. I think I'm going to find a way to make this happen. It's my journey. I'm being selfish and making a joke right now, but you know, I don't have any dates to keep, anything. I just feel really good about the folks here today, the message. They have a 6 o'clock service, and I want to go back to that. I want to go attend it, and I'm going to take them up on their offer. Instead of walking 18 miles today, I can get up bright and early tomorrow, make my way into Stroud, and see how the rest of the days hold up with me. So, you know, but I challenge you all to sit there and try to think about what I'm saying. Oh, the other thing that really struck me, it wasn't spoken to me, but sometimes you think they're speaking just to you when you're in a mass group setting like this. But this was the first time in my journey where somebody told me, essentially, I mean, I had people say it, but told me to rest. I myself have been go, go, go. The messages I get, which are inspiring, they're absolutely inspiring, have been, you know, keep doing what you're doing, keep going, keep carrying the message. And those are worthy messages. They're not telling me, they're not trying to force me, I'm not trying to claim that. I got to wrap up here. But today, the pastor sat there to the whole church and said, everybody, just take a rest, just rest for a moment, breathe it in. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And we all need to have that message. So I got so much more to say, but guys, I'm staying here in Bristow today. I'm going to go get some lunch now. I love you all. Thanks for following. Hope the football games work out, and I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.